Yo, what to do, good people? We got a good one here, great one here. This is another video from Dane Calloway that I'm about to diagnose and react to. The title of this video is Donald Trump to end birthright citizenship on his first day in office. Now that birthright citizenship, hey, that should send a red flag out to all my people that claim they indigenous to this land by birthright. I ain't gonna sit here and lie. Now, it might mean something totally different. I haven't looked at the video yet, but we'll find out together. With that being said, let's get right to it.
This plan is to end birthright citizenship altogether. So what does this mean? Trump wants to end the constitutional guarantee that anyone born on U.S. soil is automatically a U.S. citizen, even if the parents are in the country illegally. Now, you may believe that this can only affect illegal immigrants, but that's not necessarily true because of the specifics of his plan have not been discussed to the point where you could point out groups of people that he's referring to, other than all Americans and those who are trying to become Americans by law and those who are here illegally. First of all, if he ends birthright citizenship, what will be implemented to make Americans official U.S. citizens? What about verifiable documents of citizenship? Would birth certificates and social security numbers disappear? And if so, what will replace them? You may think that this is an impossible task to accomplish. Trump previously mentioned this plan during his first presidential campaign back in 2015 and noted that he would implement it on his first day in office. That didn't happen. But back in October of 2018, when he was the 45th president of the U.S., he brought this plan back up during his midterm rallies to become the president again. This time, he changed his plan a little bit. Here's a clip of ABC News on October 30 of 2018.
A week before the midterm elections, President Trump said he could end so-called birthright citizenship with a stroke of his pen.
You can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order.
That would mean overturning a portion of the Constitution's 14th Amendment that says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States.
We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous.
In fact, at least 30 countries guarantee citizenship to people born within their borders. And federal courts have generally ruled the 14th Amendment applies to children born in the U.S. to undocumented parents. Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan said the president cannot change current law by himself.
Well, you obviously cannot do that. You cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order.
In 2015, Mr. Trump raised the birthright issue on the campaign trail.
The 14th Amendment, I was right on it. You can do something with it, and you can do something fast.
The debate adds to the president's hardline immigration moves in the run-up to the elections, including sending more than 7,000 troops to the southern border in reaction to the Central American migrant caravans making their way north through Mexico. The size of the U.S. force is roughly equal to that fighting ISIS in Iraq and Syria. On Fox News last night, President Trump said migrants seeking asylum in the U.S., whom he called invaders, would be housed in tents while under review.
We're going to put tents up all over the place. We're not going to build structures and spend all of this, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Setting aside the political timing of all this, the number of children born to undocumented migrants peaked 12 years ago at more than 350,000, but declined through 2014. That's according to the latest Pew Research data. If the president signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship, it would face immediate court challenges and might not survive.
Now, that was during his first term as president. And most recently, on May 30 of 2023, under President Biden, he brought this plan back to the public with added rules that he says he would implement on day one as the president.
Joe Biden has launched an illegal foreign invasion of our country, allowing a record number of illegal aliens to storm across our borders. From all over the world they came. Under Biden's current policies, even though these millions of illegal border crossers have entered the country unlawfully, all of their future children will become automatic U.S. citizens. Can you imagine? They'll be eligible for welfare, taxpayer-funded health care, the right to vote, chain migration, and countless other government benefits, many of which will also profit the illegal alien parents. This policy is a reward for breaking the laws of the United States and is obviously a magnet helping draw the flood of illegals across our borders. They come by the millions and millions and millions. They come from mental institutions. They come from jails, prisoners, some of the toughest, meanest people you'll ever see. The United States is among the only countries in the world that says that even if neither parent is a citizen nor even lawfully in the country, their future children are automatic citizens the moment the parents trespass onto our soil. As has been laid out by many scholars, this current policy is based on a historical myth and a willful misinterpretation of the law by the open borders advocates. There aren't that many of them around. It's amazing. Who wants this? Who wants to have prisoners coming into our country? Who wants to have people who are very sick coming into our country? People from mental institutions coming into our country? And come they will. They're coming by the thousands, by the tens of thousands. As part of my plan to secure the border on day one of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. It's things like this that bring millions of people to our country, and they enter our country illegally. My policy will choke off a major incentive for continued illegal immigration, deter more migrants from coming, and encourage many of the aliens Joe Biden has unlawfully let into our country to go back to their home countries. They must go back. Nobody could afford this. Nobody could do this. And even morally, it's so wrong. My order will also end their unfair practice known as birth tourism, where hundreds of thousands of people from all over the planet squat in hotels for their last few weeks of pregnancy to illegitimately and illegally obtain U.S. citizenship for the child, often to later exploit chain migration to jump the line and get green cards for themselves and their family members. It's a practice that's so horrible and so egregious, but we let it go forward. At least one parent will have to be a citizen or a legal resident in order to qualify. We will secure our borders and we will restore our sovereignty.
Hey, that squatting situation, that's real though, man. You got people like they'll just get to an abandoned residence and squat, and those squatter laws are real. So that's a real thing that's going on. When I first came online and understood what was going on with those squatter laws, man, that's some nasty work right there, bro. That's nasty work.
Starting on day one, our country will be great again. Our country will be a country again. We'll have borders. We'll have proper education, and we'll put America first. Thank you.
So now that Trump has won the 2024 election, he mentioned again that he will end birthright citizenship, and that this will also include all children of illegal immigrants on his first day in office. Some people would assume that he's only referring to illegal immigrants, but that is just a portion of his plan. You gotta let me know in the chat if you caught those hidden messages. I want to hear from you. And if you would like to speak with me on a panel about topics like this, be sure to use the link in the box to the 13% community server on the Discord app. Let's get it.
Okay, my name is Caleb. I'm from Texas, and I just think it's a good step in the right direction. Too many illegals come over here. They get over here just to have children so that their children can become citizens. But, it would be best if, we could get some of these so-called legal immigrants to end their citizenship too. But this is just a start. Once we make our demands, I think that things will change, and it'll probably get worse for immigrants because everybody is an immigrant except the original Americans. So it'll probably, this, like I said, this is a step in the right direction. Ain't no telling what's next, what can happen in 4 more years,
Right. I agree with
But I
that.
don't
And
think
by the
it's
way, when you
racist.
said the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, that's not on the back burner, by the way. I heard that's actually in the forefront as well. I heard that was coming down the pipeline.
Oh, well, let's keep manifesting this shit. Yeah, I don't think it's racist though. Like a lot of people, I had somebody questioning me yesterday saying, how can you be indigenous and you vote for Trump, which I didn't vote, but they saying, how can you support somebody who's telling other Americans, you know, the South Americans and Central Americans that they can't come over here, but they only coming over here to keep the country alive. They trying to help our enemies, the same people we're trying to get out of position. They want to keep them in position. So that's the problem. They're not coming over here to join us or to fight for the cause. They're coming over here to keep this system alive and live the American dream.
You personally, do you feel?
Damn, that was deep right there. I ain't gonna sit here and lie, cause when you think about it, it ain't like they just tapping in with us. You see what I'm saying? Like they ain't checking in with us. Like they come over here and yeah, they rock with us when it comes to us having, you know, jobs for them to do. Cause like I tell people, they're doing jobs that we don't want to do. Like, period. You see what I'm saying? Like just straight up. Like I don't want to get up on the roof in the middle of the damn day and change shingles out. Like that ain't something I want to do. I don't like doing landscaping work and things of that nature. And there's no knock on them. They just good at what they do. I would much rather hire them, but they're not in tune with, you know, how we may be looking at things as far as understanding the plight that we had to go through. And they're not trying to tap in and, you know, trying to bring an end to the plight or being empathetic to our plight. No, they are trying to get in and, you know, live this American dream as it was promised to us at our detriment. You see what I'm saying? So I feel, old boy.
Feel as though it's an issue for foreigners that are outside of North America. And since we on that conversation, for foreigners outside of North America, whether they're Central or South, well, mainly let's focus on them, Central and South. Would you feel as though it's a problem that they continuously come over, but everybody else can't?
I mean, yeah, it's a problem that it's just their motives, though. Again, it go back to their motives for me.
Okay.
You're not coming over here to free the land. You're coming over here to keep the system alive. That is a problem for all. It's not like you coming over here to support us, to lift us up, to spread the truth that we give to you. You're coming over here to make sure we don't get our land. You're trying to replace us. And it's not just the Central and South Americans, it's the Europeans, the ones from Europe, the white ones that's coming over here.
But I'm gonna pause right there because what y'all think about this and put it in the chat. I mean, we talking about this is America. If you say Central America and South America, I mean, if you take the Central and South and the North off of the word America, it's all Americas. So do they have and I'm not saying that they do or they don't. This is a question that I'm asking to the viewers. And I want you to leave your questions your answers in the comment. Do they have more of a right to this land as far as, you know, navigating this land and traveling this land more so than, you know, the counterparts, the Europeans that have came over here, the Spanish that have came over here and conquered the land? Do they have more of a right to move around like that, even though they don't identify with our plight? They're not with the movement. They're not trying to, you know, free the land. But at the same time, do they have more of a say than the people that came over here and put us in this plight that we find ourselves in? Let me know in the comments.
That's a problem too. So, but it's unfortunate that they only demonize the Central and South Americans. That is unfortunate. But my statement to them is clean up your land, do your history, like learn. They don't. A lot of them don't like to look into their history.
Good point.
They don't care about it. the ones I've talked to. I mean, they say they have this pride, but you sitting here upholding the same system. I mean, we've been colonized by the same people. They just
Now, but that was a good point he made. Clean up your own land. But see, I can say that same thing for our people here in this land. Like, for example, I come from the south side, right, of my town. I don't live in the south side of my town no more. I done moved out to the outer parts, you know what I mean? The suburbs, you feel what I'm saying? But I'm from the projects, from the south side. I go to the south side right now. Do you think the folks in the south side trying to clean up their land? No, they're not. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's a whole nother problem within itself. For us to sit here and say that, you know, they need to clean up their land or whatnot. It's on a micro and a macrocosm, if you will. On a microcosm, being from the south side of my town, getting out the south side of my town and moving to the suburbs, those were goals. Those were life goals. Like you want to move to the east side, you like with the deluxe apartment in the sky. You feel what I'm saying? So on a macro, the south side of this land would be Central America, Mexico, South America. And we all can see for the most part that their lands ain't like our lands, but can we knock them for wanting to move to the east side, to that deluxe apartment in the sky? They want to move on up too. So I see what he's saying. Like you got to clean up your, because we have discussions about the south side part of town where I'm at. It's like, you know, my partner hit me up. He asked me, he was like, man, South, what's going on with the south side? I'm like, what you mean? He was like, man, it look bad down there. And I told him, I said, the people that really care about the south side, that have a mentality to change the south side, don't stay in the south side no more. Point blank, period. We're in another, we've moved on. However, do we turn our backs on the south side just because we can afford not to stay on the south side anymore? You see what I'm saying? So he has validity. He has validity in his statement that he said, and I get it, but I think it's just a double-edged sword. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we're going to say that about them, we have to say the same thing about us while we living here in this land of milk and honey.
just cousins.
Mm.
So yeah, that's my problem with that. That's my thing on that.
Now, keep in mind, emphasis on children of illegal immigrants. So do you feel as though it's the children's fault, even though they had to follow the parents to come over here, that they should be deported as well?
It's not the children's fault.
Okay.
But the parents should be telling the children the truth. And they should be equipping these children with the truth about what happened in their own lands, so that these children can start having the same conversations we having in North America, but they have them in their own countries. Because they were colonized too, but for some reason they forgot.
Or don't want to.
But see, again, like, I got the same argument for us over here. One of my homegirls posted on Facebook, and it was the realest statement ever. She said that we got some suburban kids with some ghetto ass parents. And that shit hit home for me. Because our kids are suburban as hell. But just due to our culture, they like the gangster shit. You see what I'm saying? And they don't even know what it is to go through what we had to go through in poverty, because we put ourselves in a position to where we didn't want them to go through what we had to go through. So how do we fault these folks that's coming from over there, coming over here? They can tell them children all they want to. Like, yeah, this is why we came over here. It's messed up back where we at. We want it better for y'all. This, that, and the third. Yada, yada, boom, boom. Because we do the same thing with our kids. But does that change the mentality that our kids have? No, it don't. You know why? Because they weren't in that situation. They didn't have to go through that. They didn't have to endure the hardships that we had to go through. This is all these kids know. So for you to just pull these kids out and then send them back to poverty, would you want somebody to do that to your kids? Now, I ain't saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just asking a question. You done made it out the hood. You done made it out the projects. You done moved to the suburbs. You moved to an area to where the houses are $250,000, $300 a piece. You see, $300,000 a piece. You see what I'm saying? And now, due to a gentrification process, you removing the parents and the kids that don't know nothing about the projects, don't know nothing about that. But just through this gentrification process, you're gonna say, hey, you can't stay here anymore because you're not really from this side. You don't have any naturalization. You don't have a birthright. You know your parents weren't born in this. They weren't born on this side of town. So therefore, you need to go back to the side of the town that you went to. And now the kids that ain't never been through this might be brilliant kids, straight A students, 4.75 GPAs and shit like that. Now you just gonna throw them back in the projects? I'm just contrasting the argument for you because it's easy to say it when you're looking at it from the macro. But as above, so below, as within, so without, as in the macro, so it will be in the micro. We have to ask these questions. And again, I don't have the answers. I understand where the good brother coming from with these comments. He's making good points. But at the same time, the same rules apply on a smaller scale. That's all I'm saying. So leave it in the comments. Tell me what you think.
Accept it.
Right. They have over there, you know, I went to Guatemala. You know, it's a lot of mixed indigenous people down there. And they seem free, but truly they are not. They are not free because the government pretty much owns everything there.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not a full-blooded indigenous person in office.
Just like
So,
here. Yep.
I don't know. I think they struggle with like their mixed bloodline. Like I think part of them is, you know, okay with it as the colonizer blood in them. And then a part of them do want freedom, and that's that indigenous side. Because a lot of them are complacent with, you know, they complacent with the state of their countries. Even though they leave, they don't try to, I mean, maybe they do try to do change, and the government just so corrupt they get killed down there. Like I had a Cuban man was telling me, and he looked just like us. He was dark. You wouldn't have been able to tell there was
Cubans look like us.
Yeah, Cubans look like us. Every time I go to the beach, this no lie. Every time I go to the beach, and I look down in the Gulf, Destin is my spot. Every time I go down there, man, I run across Cubans that think I'm Cuban. They be like, you are brother. And I be like, no, man, I'm from Alabama. He like, no, you are brother. You look just like us, man. I thought you were Cubano. Like, nah, I'm not, bro. I'm fucking Alabama, roll tide, blitz, Bama, blitz. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't no lie. But I see what he's saying. Like, it's the same thing, though. It's just, we got to have an open mind about things, man. Like, it's easy to say that these folks need to get the hell on, but how would we feel if we got a neighborhood in my area, Green Island Hills. And if the mass majority of the people in Green Island Hills will have their way, all the niggas in Green Island Hills will have to get their ass out of Green Island Hills. Why in the hell do you think that? I'll give you an example. And I think every city in America, you know, successful city in America is like this. South side of town, 9 times out of 10, was where the niggas was at. North side of town was where your well-off white folk was at. Over time, the more black people started to be more accomplished and successful, they wanted to get out of the south side and move to the north side, right? And guess what the people in the north side would do? they're going to move further out into the country and the outskirts, right? Guess what we going to do? We going to do the same thing because we identify with what's good for us is being the pretty nice neighborhoods and what's more, what's the word I'm looking for? Advanced. What's more less criminal activity is pretty. The landscape is pretty. Like, you want that. You identify with that type of shit as success. You see what I'm saying? And that's just the way life goes. And those people in South America, Central America, Mexico, that's the same mindset. They gonna want to come up north. They don't want to continue to stay in the South Side, especially when they know that me coming up north means that my kids will have a better opportunity to live a good life. That's the same reason you get out of the South Side. That's the same reason you move out of the projects. Why? For your kids to have a better and a good life. Period. You don't stay in the South Side. I don't know too many people that done got their money right, that done got their mind right, that done turned themselves around and became something successful in life that stay in the same environment that they were born in. That's, to me, that's the simplest way to put it. Now, does there need to be rules in place? Yeah, there does need to be rules in place. Like, I'm just keeping it a beam. I live in a neighborhood. I don't want that gangster shit in my neighborhood. If you haven't evolved from being a gangster and being with all those gangster activities, you don't need to bring your ass to my neighborhood. However, if you were a gangster before and now you have turned yourself into a productive citizen that can be productive and successful in our community and live with us in this community without causing any chaos or havoc, by all means. And you can pay to be here, by all means. Come on. So I get it. I just think that we don't need to get to the mindset of the Karens out there. You see what I'm saying? So black people, I guess what I'm saying right now is, don't be a Karen when it comes to the macro. Because when we boil it all down, it is what it is, and it's pretty much all the same. I digress.
They do. Dominicans
Bruh.
too.
But he was just saying like how corrupt it is down there, and you can't give money to homeless people, they'll lock you up. You can't speak against the president, they'll kill you.
Wow.
And so I do feel bad in a way, and I do understand why they want to get out of there. And it really
But
just
that
boils
is that
down
enough
to us.
reason for them to bring their issues over here to us? Is that, should that be okay?
Nah. We can't let
I
people
feel
bring
you on
their
that.
issues over here. We
I
can't.
feel you on that.
We got enough issues happening over here. We trying to free the land over here. We
I
can't
agree.
inherit your issues, man. We can only equip you with the truth, and you need to go back to where you come from and spread that. Because when the time comes, we gonna need you to stand up too.
Exactly. If anything, so what the take is based off.
But he's saying come back from where they from. Like, the only thing separating their land and our land is an imaginary border that they want to put a wall up to actually physically show the separation between the lands. But before the wall was built, truthfully and speaking, the land's connected. So it's an imaginary border. Don't ever get that shit twisted, y'all. The border is an imaginary thing. But it's something that we have to identify and we have to go along with because that's the world we living in. So I get it, but if we was to go back to ancient times, would the land actually be separated? A Marukan? Quetzalcoatl? Like, what are we talking about now if we talking about indigenous talk? You know, like, think about it. It's pyramids and step pyramids everywhere, all across this land. So what are we talking about now? So, like, how are we leaning? So that, again, I'm not saying that you're right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that we need to identify all aspects when it comes to this conversation.
For what you're saying, the whole premise is they need to focus on their homeland. Fix it up. Whatever they got to do, they need to fix it up, learn their history, because if they learned their history, then they realize what happened. Where was the separation? How come these foreigners are in positions of power and the indigenous people are not? How come the majority of their people are mixed? Indigenous with European or indigenous with any other foreigner? What happened? Go back and do that and build up some, or put you guys resources together and do something about it. Now, I also think that some of them will not collaborate in that effort, and they will try to do it individually, meaning they will try to get the money that they're not receiving inside of their countries from here and then send it back to their countries to help their families, though, their individual families. Now, I don't see nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, there is an issue. The underlying issue is the fact that it's only going to the individual families. So, yeah, I mean, that is going in a way that is, self-centered, but overall, how can you reach that goal of you trying to make changes in your own country when you guys are not working together properly? You're not pulling those same resources that you're gaining from this country here to that country there.
But the same shit applies to us. Are we not individual? We want to sit here and talk about how we can free the land here, but we do the same damn thing. Point blank, period. I moved out the South Side. Do you think I take all my money and just dump it to the South Side of the hood? No. We had this conversation talking about, we look at our elected officials and say our elected officials, the city council members and this, that, and the third ain't doing nothing for the South Side. When we got all these abandoned houses, all this bad property that really don't nobody want. But if we would have if we worked together and come up with an investment group, we can turn the South Side into something beautiful. But no, that ain't what we do. And my city ain't the only city that act like this. Every city in America is the same way. For the most part, I ain't gonna say every city, but I'm safe to say if I was making a bet, 95% of black communities are the same way. Everybody's individualized. Like, I ain't got time to worry about and try to push this message on a bunch of people that don't want to hear this shit, that's comfortable living the way they living. Period. I can focus on my daughter and my son and my immediate relatives, and half of them don't want to goddamn listen. So I just can focus on what I can focus on and hope that I can break these generational curses. So for you to say that they need to pull their money together and come up in a pool and work together as far as changing their communities, we need to do the same thing here. The same should apply to us, period. Because we ain't in no position of power. We don't have an infrastructure that we can just separate ourselves and come up with our own nation within a nation. So how is it fair to project that shit on another people that's on the same land mass that's only divided from us by an imaginary line? And we just said that Cubans look just like us. Them people down there look like us. And like, come on, man. Like, make it make sense. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. Again, I just got to point out certain things. We're diagnosing. I'm reacting to a video. And I'm being honest with you. I think these are great points that they're making. Because when you start looking at it from a 50,000 foot view, it's not as simple as everybody want to make it. Because you can easily be a Karen out here with a certain thought process.
Where they're originally from. I feel as though that's a problem as well. That's an issue. Amongst themselves, though.
Yeah. Maybe we should reach out to the pure-blooded indigenous people, because they are there. They
Absolutely.
are there too. I wonder what they thinking, I'm curious about what they think about all of this, and do they know their history? Because I've seen a video where there was a man in Guatemala. He ended up dying, but he was the I guess you would say the chief of Livingston in Guatemala, and he knew all the history. He was saying we're not Africans. He knew that we was already here, but he ended up dying. So, I'm curious, do they have a plan? What is their mindset on this? Are they working toward this? Are they trying to awaken people? Because it's really the same situation that we have here. You have
Right.
the pure-blooded people who are trying to get this done, and then you have everybody else who is trying to keep it alive.
Right, and that's also infiltration. Like if you really look at it, it's not helping us out. Like they're actually getting in the way purposely, just so they could make ends meet with their own individual families. But at the expense of our families, that's the problem I'm having. That's the problem I'm having. But yeah,
But shit, man, we got the same thing going on here. And some of us have been part of that problem. Infiltration, getting in the way, trying to help our individual families and not helping out the collective. What you think a drug dealer is? That sell drugs in his own community for the sake of $1. I'm guilty of that. I've been that person. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I can't be the pot calling the kettle black. That's the only thing I'm saying. And it ain't no disrespect to Dane. I appreciate Dane because this is a conversation that needs to be had. And we need to look at it from this aspect. I really wish I was in tune and could have called up on this video because, man, boy, this is a good one.
anything else you wanted to lead on that part with? As far as the topic is concerned.
Well, I'll say this. These Central and South Americans, y'all need to get into your history because you all are very behind. You're very behind. The North Americans over here are leading this thing. And maybe you're just gonna have to look at us and be inspired. But y'all need to stop all that colonial holidays y'all got going down, all these weird festivals y'all be having down there. You need to stop that shit. Cause you holding us back and you holding yourself back. And we extending the hand, but if you want to keep that going on, I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna keep going. Cause I went down there and there's they on certain days they go out and they had this massive celebration and it's for days too. They got like these huge, JC statues, and he is dark, but they got these JC statues. They go out in the streets and they celebrate, and I'm just looking at it like, you don't know who you are. Because if you knew who you were, you wouldn't be doing that. That's why y'all ain't free. Because you stuck. You stuck in a sunken place. And y'all need to wake up and get into your history, man. Get into your history, because I can't get into every country history as much as I would love to. As much as I would love to know about the indigenous people in South and Central America, I have to focus on here. Y'all need to focus on where y'all at. Stop trying to come over here and fix your own country. Pull y'all resources together. And if you're gonna come over here, just go through the process, man. Go through the system. We in it too, and we trying to get out of it. And I'll just leave it at that.
I appreciate that, brother.
Thank you.
So my name is Shay. I am from Minnesota. So my opinion on the children of the illegal immigrants no longer having citizenship, to me, that's wonderful. I feel like they all should have to work for it. My other concern is, who are they considering illegal immigrants? Because a lot of our people still claim that they're African American. And I'm wondering what exactly that illegal immigrant term means according to Mr. Trump.
Now, why would you consider African American an illegal immigrant?
Well, they already took us off of our land, so I just wouldn't put it past them.
You thinking that a person that labels themselves as African American has no land to go home to? They're just in limbo.
Right,
So
there's no birthright there.
Okay.
There's no birthright there because
I kind of side with that. That's why I'm not big on that African American thing, because it's well documented that Africans say we ain't them and they ain't us. Point blank, period. There is a very thick line drawn in that sand. So, where does that leave those people? Number two, I want to say on that right there, we don't know who the hell Trump talking about when he say illegal immigrants. He ain't put no stamp on just people. We just automatically think he talking about, people south of the border. That's what we automatically think. We don't know if that's just automatically who it gonna be. This could be a lot of people, all colors of the rainbow. And if that is the case, this can get real spooky real fast. I'm being honest with you. This could apply to a lot of people from the Caucasian race as well. So when you start talking about this, you got to look at it from a broad point of view, because when he say illegal immigrants, that is a very broad statement. Very broad statement. But I digress.
Because by paperwork or anything else, really, we can't prove that we're from Africa. Everything ties to here, but they're erasing that.
Wait a minute, say that one more time, sister, just in case. Just one more time.
I said, by paperwork or anything else, we can't prove that we're from Africa, but we can prove that we're from here, but they're erasing that. They're getting rid of all of it. So earlier this week, I was just looking for my great-grandmother's birth certificate. She was born in 1906 out in Pittsburgh, and all I can find on her is her marriage license, and somebody wrote on the side of it, they wrote colored on it. So 1906 is before the Racial Integrity Act, which means colored wasn't even in use back then.
It wasn't in play.
So, like I said, they're erasing.
Said that wasn't a census record neither. That was a marriage certificate.
Nope, a marriage certificate.
Interesting.
So, yeah, they're erasing our ties here. So where does that leave us? That's my concern with that.
And we all know the reason why she said us is because they labeled us African Americans. They labeled us Black Americans. She got a point. Hope y'all paying attention.
And then the other thing is, technically, Trump and everybody that looks like him is an illegal immigrant. So for him to stamp that label on other people,
what gives him the right?
Making sure their children are no longer citizens, it's a little bit of an issue with that.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, we want to sit here and be like, hey, man, we need to get these folks up out of here. Boy, we don't even know who this man talking about when he say that, bro. We don't even know what gonna go down. Like, how many of y'all out there can prove that you from this land? If it was to go down today, if the shit was to hit the fans today, how many of y'all could prove with documentation that you and your family is from this land? No matter what color you is. Leave it in the comments. Telling you, man, like this, shit gonna get real spooky real soon. Shit gonna hit the fans now.
You know,
isn't his wife an immigrant?
That too.
You know what I'm saying? She's speaking with an accent every time I see her.
Yep. So I don't know. I pay attention to what people say, and yeah, I need more clarity on what that means on paper and verbally. But that's just me.
I'm glad you pointing out those concerns. You good, sister. I appreciate that. That was good.
All right, Wado.
Wado.
All right, good people. I'm going to leave it right there, man. Like I said, it's easy to, go along with the rhetoric, but when we start diagnosing the etymology and the statements and the subliminals that's behind this rhetoric that we hear, like, it gets a little bit more concerning. And we got to look at things from a broader lens and actually look at it microscopically, because this can affect a whole lot of people. People that look like us, people that don't look like us, and we can sit here and say that we ain't concerned with the people that don't look like us, this, that, and the third. But being honest with you, man, this is concerning. And it needs to be something that a lot of people are paying attention to, because, hey, it's real. And again, I mean, I'm just looking at the moves that's been made since he was elected. Ain't nobody in that cabinet, in the administration, the appointed officials that look like us. Just keep that in mind. And with that being said, it's been fun. Put it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel because it's one hell of a time to be alive and this information need to get out here. I'm your host, Keith Daniel. This is KDTV, another Daniel Diagnosis. Until we meet again, good people. Oh, by the way, make sure you go to Dane Calloway channel and subscribe to his channel. Appreciate you, bro, for making these videos like this. This is definitely needed. Until we meet again, good people. Peace.